This meeting is being transcribed and summarized.
It's now 6 p.m. I'd like to call to order the Kent County Regional Planning Commission public hearing for May the 7th. And as customary, we'll start with the pledge. And I'll ask Mr. Servon if he'll lead in pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would ask if you have a phone or any other kind of electronic device that you either turn it off or put it on vibrate so it won't disrupt us during our meeting. We'll now go to Sarah for a roll call and determination of quorum.
Mr. Peterman?
Present.
Mr. Servon?
Present.
Mrs. Karcher is absent. Mr. Galvry?
Here.
Mr. Mills?
Here.
Mr. Davis is absent. Mr. Jester?
Here.
So you have 5 members present. You do have a quorum.
Thank you very much. You now have in front of you the agenda for tonight. As you can see, our first project, C-26-03 comic, is now off the agenda. So with that change, I'd ask for a motion to approve and second.
Motion to approve.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Sarah, call the commission.
Mr. Peterman?
Yes, approve.
Mr. Servon?
Yes to approve.
Mr. Galvry?
Yes to approve.
Mr. Mills?
Yes to approve.
Mr. Jester?
Yes to approve.
So you have 5 yeas in favor of approving tonight's agenda.
Thank you very much. We'll now go back to Sarah for the introduction and public hearing instructions. And because of the large crowd tonight, and I know a lot of people would like to speak, please pay attention to the times that you're allowed at the mic. Sarah, go ahead.
Thank you. This public hearing is being conducted for the purpose of giving the citizens of the county the opportunity to present testimony on the applications before the Regional Planning Commission. Everyone will have an opportunity to speak. All statements are to be made from the podium at the front of the room. All testimony given shall be sworn or affirmed. For the record, please give your name and address. Copies of any written statements or exhibits used during the hearing should be presented for identification and inclusion in the record. The record will remain open for 2 business days following tonight's hearing. For each application before the commission, the chairman will introduce the application. Following that, the applicant or representative will be given 15 minutes to present the application. Following that, those in favor of the application will be allotted 5 minutes each to speak. Then those opposed to the application will be allotted 5 minutes each to speak. When everyone has had an opportunity to give testimony, the hearing on the application will be closed. No decision will be made by the Commission tonight. The Commission will hold a public business meeting next Thursday at 6 p.m., at which time it will make a decision on the public hearing applications heard tonight. All information of record will be considered. A common vote of 4 members of the Commission is required to make a decision. Anyone may attend the business meeting, but no new testimony will be received. The public notice of this hearing was published on April 15th, 2026 in the Delaware State News, and the Kent County Levy Court will hear these applications, with the exception of the subdivisions, on Tuesday, May 26, 2026 at 7 p.m., unless tabled by the Commission or withdrawn prior to the Levy Court hearing. The Levy Court also meets in this room. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Our projects for tonight. First is application CS-26- Tidewater Utilities, Gerald Ridge. Owner is Bayram Holding LLC, 77 Case Ridge Road, Dover, Delaware. Applicant is Tidewater Utilities, 1100 South Little Creek Road, Dover, Delaware. Engineer is Morris and Ritchie Associates, 111 Ruther Drive, Newark, Delaware. Zoning district is AR. Comprehensive plan map designation is low density. Relation to growth zone is inside. Present use is vacant. Proposed use is same with a water tower. Levy court is Mr. Sweeney. Lake Forest. Fire district is Felton, Station 48. 57. Present this application. You can go right there. Okay, you can go. Yep. Finger on there to point to it.
Yes, thank you, sir.
You can be sworn or affirmed unless you're an attorney.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Charlie Barnett. I'm with Morris and Ritchie Associates at 111 Ruth R. Drive, Newark, Delaware.
And sir, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Go right ahead.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. I'm missing the clicker. 1 second, please. Maybe it's down below. Good evening. Again, here for the Tidewater Utilities Elevated Storage Tank Project. If you remember, I was here September of last year to present the major subdivision of Gerald Ridge to this same Planning Commission, which consisted of 85 single-family lots. It was approved in September of last year, the preliminary plan, and is currently under design. At that time, we showed the plan that is also on the screen here before you, and pointed out that this square area in the back was being reserved for a future elevated water tank for Tidewater Utilities. As the code requires, that is allowable through a conditional use application, which is why we're here tonight. So to refresh your memory, Gerald Ridge subdivision is on the north side of Fire Tower Road. It's bordered by Countryside Mobile Estates here to the west, and also Riverdale Estates here right next to it. The northern property line is Hudson Branch, defined by that water body. There is a solar facility currently under construction right across the way from it. Most of this area here is wooded on the other side of the water body. And then there is another subdivision, Summerfield Village, across the street on the south side of Fire Tower Road. Thank you. As required by the code, any facility like this, a tower, is required to have a setback from the nearest property lines at least equal to or greater than the height of the tower. We are proposing this facility to be 137 feet high. The nearest proposed lot line is right there. That's has a setback of 140 feet, so it meets that requirement. The next closest lot is 142 feet there. The property line to the east, which is, again, Hudson Branch, the stream, that is 208 feet away from the tower. And then the subdivision to the west of us is 357 feet away. So we meet all the requirements for the code there. We've also put together a rendering here of about what that tower would look like from Fire Tower Road. If you were to look back, obviously there's going to be a subdivision in front of it with single-family homes on it, but as far as where it would be positioned and how far away, that's what we put together for you there. There are several other water towers within the county's purview, and we've just kind of placed some of them here on this map. All of the existing ones are here in red: Garrison's, Fossil Thwaite, Middle School, Woodfield there. Also, there's currently being one under construction right now by Tidewater Utilities called Carpenter's Bridge. That facility's right down here. There are two others here and here that have been proposed, have been approved, and just haven't quite started construction yet. And then the Gerald Ridge facility here, just outside of Ola. Here's a picture showing some of the other water towers within the county, just to show that it's not unlike many other facilities that have already been approved and constructed throughout the county. And then some other photographs of similar water towers that may not be within the counties, but are also within the jurisdictions throughout Kent County. Also, this project went before the Board of Adjustments last month, where we were granted 3 variances that had to deal with the signage on the facility and the height of those signs, and all of those were approved at that time. That's the general presentation for the project. If anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. There's also a gentleman here from Tidewater Utilities in case you have specifics, but the tower is basically needed for their overall infrastructure. It is to help bolster that portion of the county and their existing facilities to make sure that they have adequate operating pressures within their system so that they can provide drinking water to the residents of the area, not just the Gerald Ridge subdivision. This goes towards their entire network and all of their customers, as well as making sure that they can provide proper fire protection pressure for when those needs arise.
Having said that, I see when we approved the application, you were actually taking 2 acres of woodland down out of the 22 total down to around 20. Does this 2 acres involve where this water tower is going?
Those numbers included what would need to be cleared for the water tower, correct?
So there isn't any additional damage to the woodlands?
Correct.
Okay, I'll now open it up to commissioners. Anybody have any questions about the water tower? Mr. Garvey?
So this will actually be fed through a well, I'm understanding, correct?
I beg your pardon?
This will actually be fed through a well.
Tidewater actually has... Tidewater has a water main right down there by the railroad crossing of Fire Tower Road, and that water system will be extended up into the site, feed the tower, and then it'll help increase the pressure to be pushed back out through the system.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else here that supports this project and would like to speak? Anyone else here supports this project and would like to speak? Seeing none, we'll be taking this project up next week. Excuse me, we're going to the negative side. I forgot. You all scared me tonight, so I know what negativity would mean, I guess. So we're going to go to the negative side for the water tower. Is there anybody online that wants to speak in favor or against this project?
For our guests joining us online, if you would like to speak in favor or in opposition to this project, please indicate by raising your electronic hand or pressing *3 if you're joining us by phone. I see no hands raised online at this time, Mr. Chair.
Then I'll ask the floor, is there anyone here that's opposed to this project? Anyone here opposed? And we'll be taking this project up next week. Thank you all. Next on the agenda tonight is project number SL-2602, Pintail Crossing, located on the east side of McGinnis Pond Road and the north side of Barrett's Chapel Road. Owner is Jordan Ashburn, 872 Walker Road, Dover, and Bedford Holdings LLC, 872 Walker Road, Dover. It is Ashland with the same address. Engineer is Panani Associates, care of Douglas D. Berry, P.E., Drive, Suite 207, Newark. Present zoning district is AC. Levy Court District is Mr. Scott. School District is Fire District is Magnolia and Federica, that's Station 55 and 49. Size of site is 15.58 acres. Relation to the growth zone is inside. Water will be supplied by Artesian Water Company, and the sewer will be Kent County Sewer. Is there someone here representing this application and can speak? And if you're not an attorney, please give us your name and address, and you can be sworn or affirmed.
Hello. Doug Berry, P.E., Panoni Associates, 121 Continental Drive in Newark.
And do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So again, thank you for hearing this application tonight. As stated by Mr. Jester, Pintail Crossing consists of a 52-lot duplex development with one existing single-family home at the northeast intersection of Barrett's Chapel and McGinnis Pond Road. The site is zoned AC. It's within the designated growth zone of the county, and it's a use that is proposed by right and permitted by right, I should say. Also, the project is in conformance with the comprehensive plan of the county. It has been successfully annexed into the sanitary sewer district by Levy Court 6 weeks ago, I believe. And Public Works has actually issued conditional approval of the plans. We received the staff recommendation report. We agree to comply with the requirements set forth, including the following, and I'll note 5 of them. So the site will be designed in conformance with the recently adopted drainage code. I saw that in the staff recommendation report a couple times, so that's not a problem. The pump station that's currently positioned adjacent to Barrett's Chapel Road will be relocated slightly to the east, closer to the farm field, as suggested by both Planning and Public Works. The active recreation area will be relocated as suggested. There was a mention to keep it a little bit farther away from the stormwater ponds. We'll work in concert with the planning department with that. We will propose an active trail to meander around the stormwater pond, so that'll be a nice feature. And we also agree to complete a lot line adjustment plan for the existing single-family home prior to final approval of the major subdivision. There is a request from MPO and Kent County to connect the subdivision street to Barrett's Chapel, and I just wanted to note that we met with DelDOT about this issue, and they've indicated that they will require site access from McGinnis Pond Road. Whenever a property abuts 2 different state roads, they always require that you take access from the one that's least traveled. Barrett's Chapel is a major collector, McGinnis Pond is a local road, so in compliance with the state's requirements, we're proposing a sole access adjacent to McGinnis Pond Road. There's also an interconnection to Pintail Point to the north. That's been recommended for approval by MPO. The Lake Forest School District Superintendent has issued an email in support of the development. And we've also met with KCD and DelDOT and are working through final approvals with that office. There are 2 waiver requests for the application I want to note. First, we are asking that the existing single-family home adjacent to McGinnis Pond Road continue to take access off that road. There was a comment to connect that single-family dwelling to the new proposed subdivision street. DelDOT has indicated that they would require that to take sole access to, to continue to take access off McGinnis Pond Road. So we're respectfully requesting that we don't connect the cul-de-sac to Barrett's Chapel Road. Secondly, there is a waiver from the requirement to maintain stormwater ponds 100 feet from residential setback lines. While the project will be designed in conformance to the Kent County Drainage Code, we agreed to comply with the 30-foot offset from property lines. We do want to maximize that stormwater management area to get the post-development discharge rates and volumes down as much as possible prior to discharge into state right-of-way. So those are the two waiver requests that we are asking for, and I should say that Kent County Planning has recommended approval of both of those waiver requests. With that, I'll thank you for your time. I'm happy to answer any questions. The developer, Jordan Ashburn, is here as well. Thank
It
you.
looks like by your plans, you actually got the bus stop designed out there on McGinnis Pond Road.
Yes, subject to final DART and DelDOT approval.
Is there any parking around the bus stop itself
No, sir.
if they bring kids up there and they want to drop off or wait for them?
There's a dedicated right turn lane into the entrance, so that could help facilitate drop-off to the bus shelter. But there's not a designated parking area for it. Now, if DART or DelDOT asks for that and my client wants to do that, then I'm sure we'll be happy to do that.
Mr. Mills?
Okay, I've been in the bus business for 40-some years. Ran this area right here for 30 years. No longer in the bus business no more. But I am driving the bus. Now, I know the Lake Forest School District approved of the bus stops along that road, which that is the state's regulations that they can be picked up along the road, which has become one of the most dangerous places to pick up kids. And that road right there, that Barrett's Chapel Road, is cars pretty near, are bumper to bumper. No signs. If you put up signs, I'm not going to talk. But the dangerous areas is where we're picking these kids up along these roads. Now, all we got to do is design that development so that that bus can go in, loop around, and come back out, and they can have a place for cars to park. That is happening on some others that we've got through in the last few months, and this is no problem with this. Like I go back and I'll say, yes, the Lake Forest School District did approve those kids getting picked up along the road. And it is becoming dangerous to get kids up on these buses and off these buses and cross those roads when these developments can be redesigned. Now, here's another thing. I go in developments myself right now. When it's trash day, all the trash cans are at the end of the driveway. Those trucks go in there and they pick up every trash can there is. But the poor little kids have to walk out to the road. And, hey, kids, get across the road best you can if a car don't hit you. I'm just saying we've got to have some different designs on these developments. And look at these kids getting on and off these buses better than what we're presenting here now. And I know it's going to take legislative action to change the Department of Education to come up with a different plan. But right now, it's up to the developer and the engineers to develop a place that can be more efficient.
Sure. Thank you.
Did you mention that could possibly be redesigned out there along the road and maybe inside or something?
It's subject to final DART and DelDOT approval. I do want to help. A concern of yours is duly noted. What might help mitigate that is there's going to be sidewalks on both sides of the streets. There's going to be crosswalks, ADA ramps, signage. And just based on the amount of units proposed, the type of units and where we are, we're only anticipating 16 to 20 students. So in talking to Lake Forest School District, he did not want the buses coming into that. He thought it would be more safe to have a designated bus pickup adjacent to the road when we have all these sidewalks internal to the subdivision streets that we could use to get them there safely.
Because you're going to have a connection to the north to that next development, correct?
That's correct. So that Pintail Point was a planned connection to this.
The bus could actually come in and go up there and actually go out that way.
It could. Now, our bus stop isn't gonna be within the community, so the buses should not be coming into this subdivision.
Okay, we'll see what happens. Mr. Peterman?
You said there's going to be a pull-off there
Yes.
where the bus stop. How many foot is that pull-off? How long a distance is it? And how many buses would it take to fill that spot up to where a car that's taking children to school couldn't pull off there?
Right, yeah, I know there's a requirement to have it 90 feet in length. Right now, our decel lane's 95 feet. So we're very sensitive to the bus issue, and when we submit to DART and DelDOT, we will make sure that we have that shelter in there. There's proper channelization and ways to get into it with signage so they know it's there. So yeah, that's what we'll be submitting to DelDOT and DART soon after preliminary approval.
The houses that's being built in there, are they crawl spaced, or are they concrete slab, or how are they constructed?
I will ask Mr. Ashburn to answer that, if I may.
And I wanted to know how many stories there were.
2.
2 stories?
Excuse me, duplexes will be 1.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to comment?
Jordan Ashburn, 106 Port Rush Court, Dover, Delaware, 19904.
And sir, before you begin, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jester, what was the question again?
This construction of the houses in the crawl space, is it a crawl space, concrete slab, or what are they constructed on?
At that point, it would probably be market-based. I would probably offer both. And of course, obviously, there is the new stormwater ordinance, so anything that would be there would have to be 2 foot elevated above the bench line.
Okay, I understand. Thank you for answering the question.
And then as far as the number of stories, my intention is to offer ranch, master down, and also master up units to cover the large segment of buyers.
Anybody else have any questions for this gentleman? Mr. Gavry?
Actually, just clarification on the waivers that you had asked for. On the first one, that I'm looking at, the staff recommends that a lot line adjustment be submitted. Is that something that you entertain in terms of that waiver?
Yeah, it's not a problem.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone else here that supports this project and would like to speak? Third and final call. Is there anyone else here that supports this project and would like to speak? Anybody online, Mark, that supports the project and would like to speak?
For our guests joining us online, if you'd like to speak in favor of application SL 2602, please indicate by raising electronic hand or pressing *3 if you're joining us by phone. I see no hands raised online in favor, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. We'll now go over to the ones that are against. Is there anybody here that, I remind you, you have 5 minutes to do yours, and you'll be either sworn or affirmed by our attorney with a name and address.
I'm Shannon Ritter. I'm at 275 Waterfowl Drive, and I am person 1 of the slides.
And do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Correct, I do.
Thank you.
Go right ahead.
You may have guessed that this crowd is here in opposition of this project. Let me be clear that this situation is not about affordable housing. We have had many community conversations about the significance of affordable housing. Our opposition to this project is about ensuring a bunch of self-serving home builders and developers are not bullying and tricking their way into running roughshod over the agricultural nature of our community and neighborhood. This is not allowing Jordan Ashburn to use sneaky techniques and undermine the levy court's intent to speed and encourage affordable housing by using the by right zoning provisions. Ashburn Home wants to profit off the health, welfare, and agricultural neighborhood of rural Delaware, but has no intent of creating affordable housing or even allowing the dream of home ownership as the comprehensive plan calls for of these proposed 52 families. I would like to explain to everyone that the Planning Commission authority and obligation to disapprove this proposal under Delaware state law, court case, and Kent County law. Slide 1, section 4956 calls zoning to strictly by category or so-called by right. The levy court revises the Kent County Code in December of 2024 to allow by right zoning. The intent was to make buildings affordable housing in the Kent County easier and more likely. The National Association of Builders and Realtors and the Affordable Housing Project all spoke in favor of the zoning by right amendment as a major mechanism for affordable housing. The levy court indicates their primary intention was to create affordable housing opportunities. And the Delaware Code also has a separate chapter of requirements for subdividing. In other words, complying with the zoning provisions is not enough to be approved. Zoning is not only the requirement for planning under Delaware law and in Kent County. Delaware Code states subdividing is a separate set of criteria. Board's obligation is to ensure subdivision, 1, complies with the zoning ordinance, as well as complies with the 2018 comprehensive plan. Just for the understanding of the people in the audience, an overview of what the comprehensive plan is. Slide 2. Delaware Code, Title 9, Chapter 49, Section 4954 requires Kent County to develop and have approved by the state a comprehensive plan. Section 4956 requires that amendments to the county comprehensive plan be submitted to the Cabinet Committee on the State Planning Issues for review and certification. As of May 4th, 2026, no amendment to the comprehensive plan was submitted or certified by the state. Slide 3, please. Delaware Code, Title 9, Chapter 49, Section 4959. The legal status of the comprehensive plan, the land use map shall have the force of law, and no development shall be permitted except in conformity. If the proposed plan does not comply with a comprehensive plan, it is a violation of Delaware law to approve the application. You can see in slide 4 that this subdividing plan violates the map 7B of the comprehensive plan. Therefore, it's violation of Delaware law under section 4959 to approve this subdivision. In addition to this, subdividing may be a violation of map 7C of the comprehensive plan, and if so, it would also be a violation of the law to propose the plan. Slide 5, please. The low-density residential states that it's single-family detached residential homes. The medium-density residential in the comprehensive plan says that it's the single-family detached and attached homes. Slide 6, please. As part of the legally required process for a county developing a comprehensive plan, Kent County submitted the draft of the comprehensive plan to this state. They received the following feedback from those. It is recommended that the land use chapter contain a summary of what is intended in each land use category on map 7B. The state said that the plan should be specific in what was allowed in each category. In response to the state letter, the Comprehensive Plan Committee added specific information about these permitted uses in each category. The chart is very specific and about what applies for the purposes of subdividing. This chart is different than the zoning chart. This chart applies in addition to the zoning chart about permitted and conditional districts. Remember that any plan must comply with the zoning and subdividing provisions of the Delaware Code, Kent County Code, and the Comprehensive Plan. The response from Kent County was a summary of land use categories and uses has been included. The chart is very specific about what's permitted. There are different requirements for zoning, subdividing, and the comprehensive plan, which uses the density zoning categories like agricultural and residential. The comprehensive plan does not designate or control the property's acre ratio. In the comprehensive plan, density controls what types of buildings can be placed. Ashburn is proposing to subdivide and build a low-density area under the comprehensive plan. To comply, Ashburn would have to build single-family detached homes. Thank you.
Your 5 minutes is up, I was going to say. I'll ask commissioners now if they have any commissioners have any questions? Mr. Garvey?
Is your primary concern that this development is not affordable housing?
Our concern that it doesn't match the rural character of the neighborhood, and that the Planning Commission's mission statement says that that is their obligation, as well as that it doesn't meet the medium density requirement. I live next door to the nearly 15-foot sign. I bought my house in 2020. I knew that there was going to be development through that. I was counting on the commission to build responsibly and uphold the rural community that is in conformity with our neighborhood. I would not be here tonight if they were proposing single-family homes that would fit the commission's comprehensive plan.
So everything that you were just talking about boils down to being in character with the rural environment that surrounds it, and whether it can be construed as being low density housing and affordability.
Absolutely.
Those are the three main things of your dissertation.
Absolutely. We live on half-acre lots. These are going to be less than 0.09 acres to 0.11 acres. That's not in conformity, and 7 of us bought homes since the comprehensive plan that all back to this property.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So basically, your worst complaint is the duplexes.
Absolutely. When I moved there, the comprehensive plan said that it would be a future development in conformity with what is there, protecting the rural nature of our community.
Okay, you did a very good presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here against this application would like to speak?
Yes.
Please give us your name and address, and you can be sworn or affirmed by our attorney.
My name is Joy Ronert. I live at 51 Merganser Drive in Pintail Point.
And do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
I'm Joy. I live in Pintail Point. I've lived there now for 3 years. We moved from Florida to get away from high density and small property, 0 lot lines. I was a nurse in schools in Atlantic County in New Jersey for many years. I see children getting on and off buses and the accidents that can happen to them when there isn't adequate planning or safety in the consideration. The other thing I'm concerned about is we moved there 3 years ago. My property is on a half-acre lot. I pay for HOA dues every year. I am concerned about the 3 detention ponds, the open space, and snow removal. And the concern is these homeowners will be coming through our community, probably on their way to work at high speeds, putting our children in danger. We have several children who stop for the buses, get on and get off, and you have to be very careful. I do not support this proposed development, and I have an interest in the quality of life here. When I bought here 3 years ago, I was also hoping that the quality of the construction that might come would also be half-acre lots, single-family homes. I acknowledge that we do have an affordable housing crisis in Delaware, and I understand the urgency for getting a lot of the affordable housing, but I do not want the character of our neighborhood to change. The proposed development will do not any of the things that are intended with affordable housing. In fact, the development will probably make the affordable housing crisis worse because it's planned that there may be rentals in this area. Ashburn wants to think that their proposal is going to create affordable housing opportunities for 52 families. Our HOA has 56 families on half-acre lots. Perhaps Ashburn is less than honest or transparent. Ashburn Homes tells people they are building affordable homes, but they rent many of the homes in their previously built areas. He's a major landlord. He builds the homes affordable, sells some to himself, and then rents these affordable homes at prices that he controls. He owns 8 companies that we know of, And I think that you can see on the slide the 8 listed companies. I'd like that entered into the record. The part that Ashburn does not tell you is that he also sells homes to himself under the names of all these LLCs and then makes them rental properties. Mr. Berry, thank you for posting the list. You can see 5 pages of properties that Ashburn built and sold to his company, 85 properties so far. Ashburn has approved to build another 68 duplexes across Kent County that they can then sell to their company and then rent out. I know they use different LLC names, so people don't know how many properties they own, but I know they are trying to hide some of the communities where they build duplexes. To our knowledge, Jordan Ashburn bought the properties in every duplex neighborhood the Ashburn Homes has built. Sometimes they sell duplexes to individuals, not just themselves, but he always buys some for himself. In the 2 duplex communities that Ashburn is currently building, all homes are owned by Jordan Ashburn and only available as rentals to everyone else. Currently, Ashburn is listing the duplexes for rent that are not even yet built. They rented at least 3 unbuilt duplexes last month alone. All of these facts add up to the homes having zero intention of creating home ownership for moderate income families. The pattern in the Ashburn duplex community shows the plan here is really to build and sell 52 duplexes. And the rent is more than a mortgage on the same house. That's not affordable housing. In April, Ashburn rented a 1,400 square foot duplex that they sold to the company themselves. It is on Lexington Place and was rented to someone for $1,850. There is currently a comparable 1,400 square foot duplex under contract on Lexington Place for $289,000, and a private individual is selling that. A new owner's mortgage payment on that house would be $1,726, including everything, taxes, insurance, and HOA fee. The mortgage is cheaper. The annual mortgage payments on the house is $2,600 and less than the cost of an Ashburn rental if they used an USDA home loan. For military families, I'm a veteran, I care about those military families.
Ma'am, are you about done?
Almost. Thank you for asking.
You're at the end of your time.
Okay. Thank you.
If you have another one, if you have something else very important at the end you'd like to.
I just would also like to say sometimes he also charges the homeowners, in addition to the rent, that they have to pay the HOA fees, and he's the HOA manager. So thank you for listening. Thank you for your attention.
Wait right there a minute. Thank you very much. Is there anybody here that has a question? Mr. Govry?
The development that you said that you live in, would you constitute that as low-income housing?
No.
And so I guess...
I paid over $500,000 for mine.
So...
3 years ago.
One of the questions that I'm trying to wrap my mind around is quite often what would constitute low-income housing wouldn't architecturally be considered necessarily in keeping with your rural community area. So push comes to shove, is it architecturally in keeping with the rural area, or is it low-income housing, or is it a combination of both that is the primary concern?
I'm more concerned with rental properties. I'm more concerned with if they have low income and they sell the homes, that's wonderful. But I don't want to see, rentals and high turnovers. And I don't want to see high density on those properties. 54 homes being built there that are duplexes that are 2-story. That's quite excessive. We also have the 3 detention and retention ponds that drain into our wetlands area that we're responsible for maintaining. Will he guarantee that that won't add to the water that comes into our retention and detention ponds that we are responsible under the state law for maintaining? I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate your presentation. Is there anyone else here that... What do you have, Mark? Or you got something, Sarah?
I wanted to offer a quick clarification, if you wouldn't mind, Mr. Chairman. I understand the concern about rental, but it's very important to keep in mind that is not something the county governs. Architecture is not something the county governs. The use itself, the levy court has determined, is permitted by right. So I just want to make sure the commission doesn't go down a path where it doesn't actually have any legislative control. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm glad you made that clear. Anybody else here like to speak and oppose this application? Please give us your name and your address, and remember you have 5 minutes.
Jennifer Lynch, 215 Waterfowl Drive, Magnolia.
And do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm here tonight to speak about traffic, specifically the very real and measurable impact that the proposed 52-unit development will have on our existing streets of our neighborhood. Let me start out with something simple, something that may seem small, but it's anything but, the mailbox. Ashburn Homes has a well-documented building pattern, yet they consistently construct community mailbox clusters in their developments. And yet, if you look at the plan submitted for this project, you will find something notable by its absence. There is no mailbox location shown anywhere on the plans. That's not a minor oversight. That is a critical missing piece of the infrastructure, and it has direct consequences for our neighborhood. Here's the math. 52 families, conservatively 2 vehicles per household. That's 104 cars that will need to navigate in and out of the development every single day. That's just the morning commute alone. Now double that for your return trip. So we're talking about over 200 vehicle trips per day in this development. And that's before taking into account school runs, errands, visitors, and deliveries. I want to be clear, that number is not ours alone. The trip generation diagram submitted with this application project 288, projects 288 additional trips on McGinnis Pond Road. That is in the staff report. Staff found that 143 of those trips, that's about 60%, would be left turns towards Barrett's Chapel Road. These are not our estimates, these are the developer's own numbers reviewed and cited by county staff. This development connects with our neighborhood via the Bufflehead Drive. That's right next to Shannon's address. Without a mailbox cited for this development's own entrance, those 52 families will do what every families do. They will drive to get their mail from their mailbox. And the most logical, most convenient place for Ashburn Homes to place a community mailbox cluster based on their standard building practices is inside our existing neighborhood that's accessible by Bufflehead Drive. That means every single afternoon when the mail runs, residents of this new development will be driving through the streets of Pintail Point to collect their mail. Our streets, past our homes, past our children playing outside. We moved to this neighborhood so that our children and grandchildren have a safe community, a place where they can get on and off the bus each day without navigating a bunch of congestion. Our roads currently have no more than 10 cars passing our bus stops during the morning commute. We are asking that the board ensure that all children for both subdivisions can get on and off their buses safely. This cannot be left to the discretion of the developer. Now, staff has already recognized this traffic problem. Their own recommendation calls for relocating the pump station so that a second entrance can be added on Barrett's Chapel Road. Staff cites Kent County Code, the MPO, Kent County Public Works, all supporting this change. The MPO has specifically identified future capacity issues on McGinnis Pond Road that this project will make worse. We agree with staff on this point. A second entrance on Barrett's Chapel Road is not optional, it's necessary. We want this board to understand that a second entrance alone does not resolve the mailbox problem. Those are two separate issues, and both must be addressed as explicit conditions for any approval. We are asking the board to require these two things as conditions for approval. First, that the community mailbox cluster for this new development be sited at the Lexington Mill entrance, the development's own entrance, shown explicitly on the approval plans before any vote is taken. Second, that the second entrance on Barrett's Chapel Road, as recommended by staff, be required and not left as a suggestion. keep their traffic at their entrance, both of them. If these plans cannot tell us where the residents will pick up their mail, and if a second entrance supported by staff, by Public Works and the MPO, and the Kent County Code is still not guaranteed, then these plans are not complete, and they're not ready for approval. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And we've been historically talking how far DelDOT is behind on upgrading the road system. We have no control of that, but you do as voters for your legislators and all to see whether they can start addressing this. So I'll now open to commissioners. Anybody have any questions for this lady? Once again, thank you for your comments.
Thank you all.
Anybody else here would like to make a comment against this project? Would like to speak? Please give us your name and address. You can be sworn or affirmed by our attorney.
Paul Fisher, 231 Waterfall Drive.
And do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Your mouth, we can hear you.
So tonight I'd like to discuss privacy concerns with the proposed development and the existing development of Pintail Point. I'm here to discuss and specifically request the need for a meaningful buffer to be constructed between the two developments. Referencing the architectural documents and as currently planned, Ashburn Homes has made zero effort to mitigate light and sound pollution from the proposed development. 52 units built in close proximity to our backyards will undoubtedly affect the tranquility our neighborhood has enjoyed for the past 18 years. Furthermore, the lack of a clearly defined property boundary will likely create confusion and potentially lead to trespassing scenarios inside the existing Pintail Point landscaping buffer. I'd like to reference the staff recommendation from the report dated 7 May 2026 on page 3. And I quote, "Active open space pedestrian paths that abut lot lines should be clearly demarcated so that lot owners do not mistake these strips of land as private property. Staff recommended using split rail fencing or distinctive landscaping for this purpose, which should be shown on the landscaping plan." Now, I acknowledge that this requirement is something that is for internal use within that community, but the point is that they are pointing out using a tool for demarcation so the residents won't mistake private property for community property. We think that there should also be a recommendation made to differentiate between the physical property lines of the proposed development in Pintail Point. The intent of this recommendation provides clarity in distinguishing private property from common space. As residents who live adjacent to the proposed development, it's our recommendation to mandate a 50-foot landscaping buffer to clearly demarcate property lines. Additionally, a properly planned buffer should limit both light and noise pollution. Due to the close proximity of this project, the Pintail Point HOA recommends that the buffer zone be comprised of an earthen berm, staggered evergreen plantings such as green giant arborvitae, a privacy wall, or a combination thereof. A buffer of this nature would not only benefit current and future residents, but also confirm standards already implemented by this very committee. On September 4, 2025, the Gerald Ridge application pitted residents against the builder in a similar situation where the proposed site was adjacent to existing homes. As a result, the board mandated additional buffer requirements to better protect the privacy of surrounding neighbors. These are the standards behind responsible development. Developers who engage neighbors, developers implementing buffers, developers coming to the table before construction begins, not after. We're asking that Ashburn Homes be held to this same standard. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody have any questions, Mr. Albrecht?
Actually, it's a question for staff. Sarah, my understanding is that the buffers that have been proposed with this project are in keeping with the codes, and that changing buffer requirements would actually require a change to the code. Or is that not correct?
Certainly the buffers being requested tonight are not a requirement of the code. It's possible to have a conversation with the developer or his representative to see if they would be willing
Voluntarily,
to
right.
accommodate something. But yeah, there's a fine line between what's a code requirement and then what is a nexus between the development and the impact the development might have, and a reasonable condition to try to address that impact.
But short of an understanding between the community here and the developer, who then comes to us and says, I'd like to make these changes because the community would like to have them done, we're not actually legally able to go in and make those arbitrary changes on ourselves if they go against the code as it's written.
I'm not your attorney, I'm your planning director, so I can't give.
I understand.
The attorney's online. I think there's a reason we have 2 business days after the hearing.
Correct.
And the commission could certainly ask if the developer would be willing to install some kind of buffer.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
And Sarah, and I'll be happy to look into that and connect with you tomorrow too to see exactly what the legal requirements are.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners have any questions? Comments? Anyone else here like to speak against this project and come to the mic? Your name and address, and you'll be sworn or affirmed by our attorney.
Courtney Thompson, 133 Merganser Drive.
And do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Courtney. I live in the Pintail Point community directly adjacent to the proposed development site connected to our neighborhood. First, I want to make it clear that our community supports reasonable growth and supports affordable home ownerships throughout Kent County. We understand growth is coming and we are not opposed to the development itself. However, we strongly believe that this specific proposal for duplexes is not appropriate for the location and does not fit the character, planning, or long-term interests of the area. Pintail Point is a rural, low-density community made up entirely of single-family homes on larger lots. The homes in our neighborhood were built and purchased with the understanding that the surrounding area would maintain the same rural residential character. The proposed duplex development would introduce a housing style that is inconsistent with the immediate area and inconsistent with the established identity of the surrounding communities. In reviewing nearby neighborhoods and developments, there are no duplex-style communities in the immediate surrounding area of Pintail Point. The surrounding homes are detached single-family residences on sizable lots, many between 1/2 acre and larger. This proposal would create a community different, a completely different type of density and land use directly connected to our neighborhood without blending into the existing community design. This area raises concerns from both an investment and planning standpoint. Buyers looking in this area are specifically seeking rural character, privacy, larger lots, and single-family neighborhoods within the Caesar Rodney School District. Introducing duplexes directly adjacent to our community does not align with the market identity that has historically supported property values and stable long-term investment in this area. Additionally, there is concern regarding the school district boundaries. Our neighborhood is located within the Caesar Rodney School District, while the proposed development falls under the Lake Forest School District. Families viewing properties marketed under the Pintail Crossing name could reasonably assume there is a connection or shared identity with Pintail Point, especially since the roads would connect directly into our neighborhood. That creates unnecessary confusion for home buyers regarding community identity and school district expectations. The developer has made it clear that they do not intend for this project to truly be part of our neighborhood, yet they still intend to use the Pintail name and physically connect the roads into our community. If the development is separate in identity and vision, then it should not rely on the established reputation and recognition of our neighborhood to market the project. From a county planning perspective, this proposal also raises broader concerns about consistency in land use. Kent County has long valued balanced growth that respects existing rural communities. Duplexes may be appropriate in areas already designed for higher density housing, near commercial corridors, or within more urbanized growth centers, but placing them in the middle of a low-density rural residential area creates a transition that simply does not make planning sense. This is not about opposing new neighbors. It is about ensuring that development is compatible, thoughtful, and consistent with the existing community fabric. Once this type of density change occurs, it permanently alters the character of the area and sets a precedent for future development decisions. Our community has invested heavily in maintaining the quality, appearance, and rural nature of this neighborhood. Families chose this area because it offered something different from the more densely developed communities. We respectfully ask the committee to consider whether this proposal truly represents the best long-term outcome for the surrounding residents, for Kent County planning goals, and the integrity of this rural area. We ask that you deny this proposal in its current form and encourage development that is more consistent with the surrounding community and land use patterns. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll ask any of the commissioners have any questions. Fine presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else here would like to speak in opposition to this application and come to the mic?
Good evening. Dewey Barish, 203 Waterfowl Drive, Pintail Point.
And sir, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for your attention tonight. My name is Dewey Barish. I'm the president of the Pintail Point Homeowners Association. I'm here tonight to express our association's common concerns about the proposed development named Pintail Crossing. As you've heard from some of our homeowners this evening, multiple issues and concerns exist in our established community. These range from safety concerns, from significantly increased vehicular traffic, decreased tranquility, loss of privacy, strained EMS services, you haven't heard that part yet, and negatively impacted property values just after a reassessment was finalized. These concerns arise largely from the density of the proposed new housing. 52 homes squeezed into less than 15 acres in a subdivision that is then connected to an existing subdivision with 38 homes in about 35 acres is simply not in character with the existing community. As I've spoken to many members of our community since we learned of this proposal for Pintail Crossing, there have been several common and strongly held objections. The most notable objection has not been that this land is being developed, but that it is being developed as proposed in a manner that is not consistent with the character of the existing subdivision, yet will be attached to our wonderful community and negatively impact many of the attributes that make this community so attractive. The second most common objection encompasses safety. The traffic increase is particularly concerning. Many of our homeowners walk their dogs on our streets multiple times a day and/or walk or bike for their own enjoyment and exercise. Even though they are doing so on our streets, since we do not have sidewalks in our subdivision, they can still enjoy these activities with little concern for safety given the absence of through traffic combined with the low traffic that is almost entirely homeowners as currently exists. This tranquility has been a key motivator in many of our homeowners' decision to purchase a home here. Increased vehicular traffic from a newly connected subdivision and delivery vehicles increases these safety concerns permanently. The proposal for this new development has wider streets than our subdivision and includes sidewalks. Those sidewalks are shown on the plans to come into our community and terminate at the edge of existing driveways, which introduces an inconsistency in pedestrian access routes because our subdivision does not have sidewalks, which might create issues with DelDOT's pedestrian access routes program. We've heard as well tonight about the strained emergency services, apologies, that one hasn't come yet, within our area. First responders are an incredibly important part of our society, but like all institutions, their resources are limited, which is a circumstance that only worsens as their service demands grow faster than their resources. This concern I've heard repeatedly from many of the homeowners in our community. Property values are an inevitable issue here as well. The addition of so many homes nearby, as densely packed as proposed, will assuredly lower property values of our homes. A troubling issue by itself, but also happening right after a lengthy reassessment of all properties in Kent County that could leave many of our homeowners upside down on property tax costs until and unless those homes are reassessed. The asks that our community have made are driven by the strong desire to help this area and our subdivision in particular maintain its rural character. We are not against development. We simply want it to be in character with what is present and are concerned about any number of factors that such densely packed housing will introduce into our community. We would strongly prefer that this area be developed as single-family detached homes on lot sizes similar to our half-acre lots. Barring that, we would prefer this new development not connect to Bufflehead Drive and instead allow it to utilize the McGinnis Pond entrance and the proposed added entrance on Barrett's Chapel that was suggested with relocation of the sewer pumping station. Given the difference of character of the proposed community and ours, we would also ask for increased buffer space and vegetation along the border with Pintail Point to help separate these two subdivisions with very different character to help preserve the tranquil community that we enjoy so much. Thank you again for your time and attention this evening.
Thank you, sir. I'll ask the commissioners questions. Seeing none, I thank you for your presentation.
And thank you.
Is there anyone here who'd like to come to the mic and give the lady in the back's coming? Lady in the back's.
Good evening. I'm Mary Finn, and I live at 27 Merganser Drive in Pintail Point.
And do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
So good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the Levy Court. As I said, I'm Mary Finn, and I've been a resident of Pintail Point for almost 7 years. I'm here tonight to speak about water, standing water, stormwater management, and the documented impact that this proposed development will have on an already saturated piece of land that's home to a protected wildlife species. So let me start with the land itself. The proposed development includes, as you've heard, a 5-acre parcel located at 1008 McGinnis Pond Road. This is not simply an undeveloped land. This is land with a well-documented history of severe water accumulation. In 2020, the previous property owner was forced to remove horses and cattle from this property, not because of neglect, but because of standing water on the ground that was persistent and so deep that the animals' hooves were literally rotting. Livestock had to be relocated because the land could not adequately drain. This isn't a drainage inconvenience. This is documented, verifiable flooding problem on the ground where Ashburn homes are proposed to be built. So we asked this board if that land couldn't support hooves of 2 horses and a cow, how's it going to support the foundation driveways and stormwater system of 52 homes? Now I want to turn to what's living on that land and why its protection matters under Delaware state law. On March 4th of this year, a resident of Pintail Point recorded video footage of an American woodcock in the existing Pintail Point stormwater retention pond off of Waterfowl Drive. That video is available and it can be provided to the board if you would be interested. This is not a casual bird sighting. The American woodcock is formally designated by Delaware Wildlife Action Plan, DNREC's own legally recognized conservation blueprint, as a Tier 2 species of greatest conservation need. The Delaware Wildlife Action Plan assigns Tier 2 to species of greatest conservation need. These include species that have rare to uncommon breeding populations in the state, species with broad distributions that are threatened by climate change, which Delaware has a responsibility to protect. This is not a fringe classification. The 2025 Delaware Wildlife Action Plan has received formal approval from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and services as the state's conservation blueprint for wildlife diversity for the next decade through 2035. It's federally reviewed, state-adopted document, and it identifies the American woodcock as a species the state has a specific responsibility to protect. So what makes this more significant is that the retention pond off Waterfowl Drive is not an accidental habitat. Residents have observed this bird on more than one occasion, and this bird comes back every year. So we're asking this board to not halt the development entirely on these grounds, of course, but we're asking something specific, reasonable, and achievable, that the proposed community retention pond for the new development be sited as close as possible to the existing retention pond, consolidating the water management infrastructure in an area that would minimize disturbance of the surrounding habitat, reduce the footprint of grading and landscape disruption across the rest of the site, and give the existing breeding pair of American woodcock best possible chance to continue in that habitat. So to summarize, our request on the water issue is, first and foremost, we ask that you require an independent third-party geotechnical and hydrological assessment of 1008 McGinnis Pond Road parcel before an approval is granted, giving its documented history of severe standing water and demonstrated inability to drain adequately even under natural conditions. Second, we ask that the proposed community retention pond be sited adjacent to the existing Waterfowl Drive retention pond. And third, we're happy to submit to you documentation of that March 4th sighting of the woodcock bird. But most importantly, the land is telling us something. The animals that lived there in 2020 told us something. And the woodcock returns there to breed every year. So we ask that, respectfully, that you listen. Thank you for your attention this evening, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Anybody here have any questions for this young lady? Seeing none, I'll open it up again. Is there anyone else here who'd like to speak in opposition to this application and would like to come to the mic?
Teresa Pepper, 203
Ma'am, you have to pull the mic up to you.
203 Waterfowl Drive. Teresa Pepper is my name.
And do you swear or affirm that the, testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening. I'm sorry, I was not actually planning on speaking here tonight, so my words are not going to be as polished as the others. I'd like to give you a little more understanding of our current Pintail Point and some of the aspects that have been previously spoken of. One of the things that was mentioned was lack of sidewalks. So basically, our roadways have no sidewalks, and they're only 20 feet wide. I do believe that current roads are coded at 25 feet. So we already have a smaller ribbon of roadway with no sidewalks. So when the school bus comes into our development, they come in, they stop at an intersection, I believe it's McGinnis and Waterfowl, and let the children off. So the families, when they're picking up their children, are walking their children home in the middle of the streets. We don't have enough traffic to worry about cars zipping through. We're okay. We realize that we don't have sidewalks. There are people going to be in the roads. So this new development, Pintail Crossing, you're having 25-foot roads, double sidewalks. You're connecting to Bufflehead, which comes into ours, no sidewalks, smaller ribbon of asphalt. And we're scared. we're scared those people are going to be buzzing through because we're different aspects. It's two different ways of driving. And if you look at our location on the map, we're going to be a major cut through from everybody in Pintail Crossing going northbound. They're not going to go out to McGinnis, cut over to Lexington Mill, and continue on to Route 1. We are the shortcut right through there. And so that traffic's going to be coming through us. And we're scared. So another question I have, and on the school bus, somebody asked about school bus pads earlier in the other development. We don't have a designated school bus pad. Like I said, the school bus comes in and just drops the children at an intersection, and then they walk home. So it's not like there's a safe place to unload and load the children that's out of the way of traffic. It is right in traffic. And so that is my biggest concern, is them connecting to us. I would respectfully ask that they not connect to our Bufflehead Drive. And if they could then use McGinnis and Barrett's Chapel, they have their two entrances and exits, but they wouldn't be cutting through us and endangering our runners, our families, our dog walkers, our children. I also have a question for the developer. They came up with the number of 16 to 20 students estimated to be coming from Pintail Crossing out of 52 homes. I would ask how that number was estimated, because personally, common sense doesn't add up to me. So, thank you for listening.
Thank you. You did a great job. You didn't have to have any preparation.
My knees are shaking.
Very good. Does anybody have any questions for this young lady? Seeing none, once again, I thank you. Is there anyone else here who'd like to speak in opposition of this application? Please come up and give us your name and address so you can be either sworn or affirmed.
My name is Richard Thompson. I live at 133 Merganser Drive in Magnolia.
And Mr. Thompson, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Good evening. I am a homeowner and an HOA board member in the Pintail Point community. I am also a proud member of the Magnolia Volunteer Fire Company, Station 55. I'm here today because of the growing concerns about the rapid residential development increase in the very concentrated area between Magnolia and Frederica. The development is in both Magnolia and Frederica's fire districts. Magnolia has around 20 active responders, and Frederica has around 15 active responders. This means that both communities are relying on a very small number of people to reliably be available at a moment's notice as we respond from home or wherever we are at the time. In 2025, Magnolia responded to 425 runs, which was a 21% increase from the year prior. Our fire departments respond to every emergency you can think of: motor vehicle collisions, house fires, wildfires, car fires, hazmat incidents, lift assists for EMTs. We work the sports games. We're everywhere. We are also in all of the local waterways, including the Bay. While demand is rising, recruit is not keeping pace. Are we fully considering response times, staffing levels, and the availability of volunteers when these developments are approved? Because from what we are seeing, even the fire departments themselves are not closely involved in these broader conversations. This leads to a question of what happens when multiple emergencies occur at the same time, which is not really hypothetical. This happens every single day. Most recently, the Harrington Chicken House fire on April 15th that I myself responded to provides an excellent example of strained resources. 2 chicken houses became engulfed, and out of the 60 departments in the state, 17 departments responded. including both Magnolia and Frederica. The Magnolia Fire Protection District was then supported by the Citizens Hose Company, who are also all volunteers, who sent us a fire engine and a crew, while Magnolia's resources were supporting Harrington. The scene got even worse, so they sent the Citizens Hose Company from our firehouse to the scene as well. So then we had a gap in coverage while we waited for the Cheswold Volunteer Fire Company to come back us up. There is a deeper problem here too, where during the incident now, Magnolia and the Citizens Hose Company and Cheswold are all short-staffed and short apparatus. They're short on people and equipment. Magnolia has around 10 neighborhoods that do not have fire hydrants. Magnolia's tanker was in Harrington, and even the backup crews were not able to bring a tanker for us. So if a fire were to happen in any of those neighborhoods, we would have to wait until one was available in the local area. Most were in Harrington. I don't have the exact numbers. Turning back to focus on this proposal, we understand that the current plan for Pintail Crossing includes 52 duplex units, potentially bringing more than 100 residents and vehicles, all within a tighter and higher density layout than the neighborhood it's attaching to, ours. The proposed neighborhood also lies near the Cattail Creek and proposed Barrett Landing developments. Although the other two developments are outside the scope of this meeting, their development and proximity is currently expected to bring 471 new homes within a roughly 3-mile radius, doubling the current home count of Frederica and leading to a severe need for emergency support from surrounding cities like Magnolia. We feel our request is simple. We are asking this development be reduced to 21 single-family homes instead of 52 duplexes. In addition, we're also requesting that the neighborhood not connect to ours because of all of the issues everyone else brought up. I'm here to mostly talk about safety. This would alleviate most of our concerns about the project. These changes will reduce density and strain on the surrounding emergency services. It will also better align with the existing neighborhood, help preserve property values, and can lead to a safer, more sustainable integration into the community. We are not asking you to stop development. A few years ago, my wife and I separated from the military and returned to her home state of Delaware with the goal of purchasing our first home in a safe, quiet, and affordable area. Our entire home buying journey took us 7 years, 13 home offers, 5 states, and 2 failed contracts to get here. And we ended up with Magnolia. Out of all of the places that we looked at, Magnolia was our favorite. We understand the housing challenges and have empathy for those still trying to find a home. We simply ask that when people do find their home, it be in a safe, intelligently designed neighborhood that can be supported by the local emergency services. They deserve the same as us. Once these homes are built, the demand is permanent, but the resources to support them are not guaranteed. In closing, we love our community and value the close-knit nature of Magnolia and Frederica. We deeply respect the men and women who volunteer to keep us safe. We owe it to them and to every current and future resident to make sure that the growth does not outpace our ability to respond when it matters most. Again, my name is Richard Thompson. I'm a board member for Pintail Point. I'm a veteran and a volunteer firefighter. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your comments. I was also at that chicken house fire. I'm a volunteer in Felton, and we have the same concerns that you do.
Absolutely.
But I'd also like for you to take back to your company, and I've talked to my chief and all the others. They're all sent these plans every month, and we see very little comments from any of the fire companies or any of the chiefs. I've actually took that to county meetings before, and it really needs to be. They really start commenting on these developments one way or the other, like location of hydrant systems or anything. I know the fire marshal evaluates all these, but we're not getting enough input from the volunteer fire company. Like I said, I've been in Felton for 56 years, so I've seen quite a few changes myself.
I do not hold a leadership role with the company just yet, but I have the same concerns as you. I wish more things were brought up.
Correct. Anybody here have any questions? Seeing none, once again, thank you, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Anyone else here against this project? And Mike, give us your name and address. You can be sworn or affirmed, and you have 5 minutes.
Hi, my name's Steve Cannon. I live in Pintail Point at 163 Waterfowl Drive.
And do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, I did a quick Google search to start all this, and I said, what is the purpose of planning and zoning? What's the commission? What's the purpose? The search came back real simple with the purpose of planning and zoning is to manage community growth, protect property values, and ensure orderly development by regulating the land use, density, and building design. It separates incompatible activities, industrial from residential, for example, to enhance public safety, health, and quality of life, and planning long-term plans. So with that being said, obviously I have some concerns with some of the things here that's going to possibly affect our current community. Some of the things, density, property values, and I'm sure you've heard a lot of this already from people, and I feel like we just want to echo that again. For example, density is probably one of the biggest things. So currently Pintail Point, we have 38 houses in about 36 acres, so we're about 1 acre per house. So that's the current density. If you look at this plan here for Pintail Crossing, it's really 52 units on 14.75 acres, because even though they do have that existing single family home, it is being cordoned off, it is being blocked out as its own unit, it has its own driveway out to McGinnis Pond, it's not part of the neighborhood. If you do the math on that, you wind up at about 3.5 units per acre. So that's a drastic change in density in the two adjacent properties. So it's a really big concern there. We've been aware of the future development possibilities in our neighborhood. Obviously, there's 2 potential tie-ins out there, but I think everyone that lives in the community expected it to be similar to the region, similar in character. Right now, there's nothing like this, no duplexes in the area. The nearest one's probably out where there's townhouses and duplexes out on State Street. So I don't know where that would be, like as far as character of the area. I know when I came here, well, for the variance, for a variance from putting a pool in my backyard even. The big concern was impervious surface. They looked at the fact that my impervious surface from my lot as I bought it was like 28%. I'm only allowed to have 25. They gave me the variance. I appreciate that, so I can get my pool put in. But I looked at the sample plan on the bottom of the one sheet that shows the housing and the paving in front. It looks, when I do the math on that, my background is in architecture, so I was able to go back and pull scale off the plans and everything. It looks like 38% on the proposed plan. So even on that proposed plan, they exceed the 35%, which is allowed based on having the public utilities. So that becomes a concern there as well. This area is under high growth, and I understand that. We're not trying to stop development. I understand what's going on. Irish Hill has major development or remodeling done planned for DelDOT. They're working on trying to put some roundabouts, I believe, is planned out there and stuff like that. Obviously, the concern here is what happens to Barrett's Chapel. Right now, I know last committee meeting, there was an approval for a 210-unit single-family homes. Again, single-family homes, key there, being put in out there past on the other side of Cattail Creek. And we already had to put a roundabout out there to handle the Cattail Creek project that's out there. So I think there's a big concern there with what's going to happen going up and down Barrett's Chapel in that area. And beside that, what happens here right now in this proposed plan, it's going to be exiting out onto McGinnis Pond and then entering also into our current neighborhood. So with that being said, when I look at it, 52 duplexes, if you do 2 cars per house, you're looking at 104 cars. 104 cars, even if half of them decide to exit up Buffalo Head and out Waterfowl, that's 52 additional cars that'll be exiting out the exit Waterfowl onto Lexington Mill Road. I don't know what the ADT calculations were when they designed that intersection, but I'm pretty sure it did not account for this. So I have high concerns with what's going to happen down Waterfowl Drive out to Lexington Mill and that current intersection. That area, I feel, if it's different options here, as far as I can see, I know the Planning Commission recommended the tying into Barrett's Chapel Road. So is it possible to do the entrance onto Barrett's Chapel and potentially give a waiver? I've seen it, I've Googled it, there's lots of waivers that have been given, not lots, but there's plenty of waivers that have been given of not tying into existing neighborhoods. I understand that the intent of tying in neighborhoods and tying in the traffic ways, but is that possibility there? But if they are going to tie in, I would request that we do a traffic study and the developers responsible for improving that entrance off of Waterfowl Drive into Lexington Mill, because I've already seen many opportunities where there's almost been accidents there with the narrow width. So I think that's something that should be considered, that if they are going to move forward with this project, it's something that should be looked at. So in general, our neighborhood is pretty open, pretty spacious. Like I said, 1 acre per house, which is pretty nice.
Sir, your time's up now. Are you about done?
What's that? Yes.
Your time's up.
Okay, sorry, I got like one more.
Do you have anything at the end you wanted to emphasize?
Just the fact that we are a walkable community. Our community likes to walk around, and I just think it's great. My family, my grandkids, I just would hate to lose that if the traffic picked up in there and made it difficult.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody here have any questions? Seeing none, thank you again. Anyone else here in opposition to this project would like to speak? Third and final call. Anyone else here would like to speak in opposition to this project?
For our guests joining us online, if you would like to speak in opposition to this application, please indicate by raising your electronic hand or pressing *3 if you're joining us by phone. Mr. Chair, I see one hand raised online. Jalen Tiffany, you may unmute your line, give us your name and address, and be sworn or affirmed.
Hi, I'm Jalen Tiffany. As of February of this year, I am a Delaware business owner. I am still at my address through the end of the school year for my kids at 6806 Lumsden Street, McLean, Virginia.
And do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
As I've been listening to this, I had a couple of things that I haven't heard that I wanted to state for consideration. First is I've heard reference to by right zoning or by right development. I understand that with regard to section 205 of the Kent County Code, but there's also the requirements under section 187 and the comprehensive plan, which has the force of Delaware law. And so I haven't heard anyone explain how this proposal is consistent with map 7B. Map 7B clearly says the area that's green can only have single family detached homes. And so I don't see how this complies. Like black and white, that doesn't fit this. In section 205, where the by right zoning is, section 205 clearly says if there are stricter requirements elsewhere in the law, then those stricter requirements apply. So even if we're looking at section 205, saying they have by right zoning based on what they put forward, the comprehensive plan is stricter and I think is what controls here. And I just heard the builder say it complies, but maybe there's an explanation I'm not seeing. The second thing I also heard, because of by right, that it can't be considered whether these may or may not be rentals or what impact this has on potential for affordable housing or if it's potentially taking away affordable housing things. I also disagree with that. It is absolutely this Planning Commission and the Levy Court's responsibility under Section 187 to consider whether things comply with the comprehensive plan and to consider whether they're consistent with the comprehensive plan and consider the health and welfare of the entire community. If you're allowing, or you know it's likely that somebody is going to buy up all these properties, then that is not consistent with the priority of affordable home ownership that is described in the comprehensive plan. It's also not in the interest of the community for one person to control so much real estate. That's what's created the nationwide housing shortage for affordable housing. It's large companies owning large amounts of homes that then they are able to rent out instead of individuals owning them. The third thing I'm thinking about, I noticed on the plan that there's two sections of land. that are being proposed in as part of the development. And I didn't see anywhere that makes the whole thing one decision. And this is what I mean by it. When I'm looking at two pieces of land, each with their own part of development, one of them does not even meet one section. I believe the 10-acre section does not meet the density requirement of 3.5. The other side does. I don't see where anyone has a right to necessarily combine the two parcels without a decision by the Planning Commission or levy court. What I mean by that is this would seem to me to fall under the subdividing provisions, which is in 187, even though it's actually combining property. And this is why I say that, like that there would have to be two separate decisions or treated as two separate projects. If you think about this, right, a developer could buy, let's say, 5 acres of land, right? Then he could buy a 1-foot wide strip that goes out 2,000 yards, right? Or 2,000, like across 2,000 acres, let's say, and then buys another 20 acres of land. If there's no consideration of land being joined, Section 205 means that the developer could jam everything onto the first lot, and that would be by right zoning.
Ma'am, you're at the end of your 5 minutes. Are you about done?
Yeah. Basically, what I'm saying is there has to be some discretion about or some approval process for joining up land together as part of the by right zoning. Or you can use a 1-foot wide strip and do whatever you want.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. Appreciate it. Anybody have any questions? Seeing none, I'll open it up. Does anyone else here would like to speak at the mic in opposition?
Mr. Chair, we have one more hand raised online. Mona Reese, you may unmute your line, give us your name and address, and be sworn in. Mona Reese, I see you have your hand raised online. You can use the unmute button, which should be at the bottom of your screen, and give us your name and address. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you should see a hand icon. A microphone icon where it says connect audio next to the start video.
Evidently, she doesn't know how to do it. Is that what you're saying, Mark?
So yeah, I can see you. Can you see the bottom of your screen? If Mona, your line is still muted. You're on a cell phone.
Evidently, if she comes through, we'll just have to not be able to listen to her, I guess.
So, Mona, I've been at, can you ask her to?
Ms. Reese, if you're not able to connect tonight, please keep in mind that the record stays open for 2 business days, and I would invite you to send us written comments for the commission to consider if you'd like.
Okay, we're going to move forward. Once again, I'll ask, is anybody here in opposition and would like to speak, either online or in the audience? This is the last call.
I see no more hands raised online at this time, Mr. Chair.
And just remind everybody, if they do have those questions, they can submit them to Planning Department by, is it the end of Tuesday?
It'll be close of business Monday, so 5 p.m. Monday.
Just keep that in mind. We thank you all for your presentation, for your opposition remarks. You did a spectacular job, and thank you for working along with us. We'll be taking this up next week. I'm going to hold up a minute till everybody empties out, because we got more on our agenda tonight, so try to exit peacefully and quietly. While everybody's leaving, I'm going to read the next one into the record. Our next application is SL-26-04 Hampton Ridge, located on the east side of Canterbury Road, north of Waterside Drive. Owner is Canterbury Farms Holding, LLC, 8800 North Granary Center Drive, Suite 345, Scottsdale, Arizona. Applicant is D.R. Horton, care of Matt Connolly, Smyrna, Delaware. Engineer is Morris Ritchie. Zoning district is AC. Levy Court district is Mr. Scott. School district is Lake Forest. Fire district is Frederica Station 49. This is a 175 single-family lot proposal. It is inside the growth zone. It does also have water supplied by Artesian Water Company and sewer by Kent County Sewer. Someone here to represent this application? Someone up there I recognize, but still need his name and be sworn in.
Good evening again. Charlie Barnett with Morris & Ritchie Associates. I believe, am I still sworn in from before?
You are. You're good. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you
Man,
so much.
look how you drove everybody out. You see see what they think of you now, right?
Cleared the room. Thank you very much. Here the second time to speak to the Hampton Ridge subdivision. As you said, project is proposing 175 single-family lots. It is a by-right subdivision off of Canterbury Road, just outside of Felton. The clicker's here. The development is being done by D.R. Horton. Gentleman is here with D.R. Horton. If there's any specific questions I can't answer for you later on, but I'll see what I can do to try to get through the bulk of them myself. The subject property is 69.91 acres. It is zoned AC inside the growth zone. As I said before, we're proposing 175 all single-family detached lots. That brings the density to 2.5 units per acre, which is well below the maximum allowable by code, which is 3.5. Our average lot size we're proposing is 9,518 square feet, which again is well over the 5,000 square foot minimum requirement. We're proposing 1.85 acres of active open space, which is 1.5 times the minimum requirement. And then proposing another almost 15.5 acres of passive open space, bringing the total to just under 18 acres. Is going to be served by Kent County Public Sewer, is within Artesian Water Company's CPCN rights. And all of the internal streets are being designed by, will be reviewed and approved by DelDOT and maintained by DelDOT. So again, the project is located outside of Felton along the east side of Canterbury Road, just north of the intersection with Carpenter's Bridge Road, and just below Roseville Road and Midstate Road.
And while you're getting into that, you agree with all of our requirements and staff recommendations?
I agree with all the requirements, yes. We can get into some of the recommendations in a moment.
Okay, continue on.
Thank you. The project is bordered to, here's a detailed plan you're looking at here. North, the project has been rotated a little bit for clarity, so north is to your left of the page. So here we're bordered by the Murdoch River on the south. the existing Roseville Estates subdivision to the east side of the project. There's one large agricultural property to the north, and then some single-family lots that separate us from Canterbury Road. We have one small actual connectivity to Canterbury Road where we are proposing our single entrance to the subdivision. Unfortunately, it's the only connectivity to Adel Street that we have that we can have an entrance on. We are also proposing 2 connections to the existing Roseville Estates subdivision where they have proposed their internal subdivision streets up against the property line. And then we are proposing 3 more future connections in case that agricultural property to the north is ever developed. We have also talked to Lake Forest School District and the transportation technician there, and have tried to discuss a plan for bus stops within the subdivision. We've come up with, at their guidance, come up with an initial bus stop right here by this open space area, so that in the beginning, early phases of construction, this will be one of the first areas open. So school bus can come in, go around the loop, stop and pick up kids, and get right back out. As the development of the project further goes on, we've identified this intersection here as a secondary location for bus stops. You'll see that there's an open space area adjacent to it, just like the first area we picked down here. That way buses can come in, pick up kids at the first stop, circle around, pick up kids at the second stop, and easily get out. There's also other ways that they could easily, come around and hit them if they were going into Roseville Estates, but most likely, due to Roseville Estates subdivision being a age-restricted subdivision, I don't think many school buses will be going in there. So we've come up with that path for them to easily circulate through the subdivision and pick up children as they move along. Also, I want to point out here that, as I said before about the active open space, there are 3 main areas we're proposing active open space. One right here, one a little bit further along in the middle, and then another one down here at the bottom. This kind of distributes those areas around the subdivision, gives people closeness. It also kind of gives you a nice long spine to go through the subdivision. It allows for people to get from sidewalks through, any long blocks, or a nice spine area to traverse through here. We have a walking path that'll go around the back of that stormwater facility there as well. One of the things we've requested as part of this application is one waiver, and that is to eliminate the sidewalk along one side of the proposed entrance road, and that would be only from the very beginning of the entrance to this intersection right here. There are no houses, no lots along that portion of the entrance road. There's really, other than to get down to Carpenter's Bridge, or down to Canterbury Road, I'm sorry, there's really no reason you would need a sidewalk on both sides of the street for there. So to minimize our impact, grading, and those things, we're asking that we will have sidewalks on both sides of all the internal subdivision streets. Up until this point, we will have a crosswalk here. That was a great recommendation by planning staff to actually stripe a crosswalk here so that anyone coming down this active open space trail can get across. Anybody on one side of the road, of the entrance road, which is called Shakespeare Way, any time they would want to get to the other side, there's a good crossing right there. And then it would just be, for this stretch right here, a sidewalk on one side of the road. You wanted to discuss, you brought up before that there are some recommendations. Well, sorry if I could back up real quick. Just wanted to point out that planning staff did recommend approval of that waiver request that we had put in for. There are 5 recommendations that the staff report proposed as part of this. We have no problem and will be glad to agree to 3 of those 5 right off the bat. Numbers 2, 3, and 5, we're completely in agreement with. Removing an open space buffer here behind these lots, putting that crosswalk here, as I suggested before. Fantastic idea. And then the timing of the street trees being planted along with certificates of occupancy. We have no issues with any of those. Be glad to agree to those. The two that I would like to discuss a little further and just kind of point out some of the concerns we have. The very first recommendation is that we are proposing a buffer here along the northern property line, which is an agricultural. So per the code, an agricultural buffer is required there. The code does not state that that buffer needs to be in open space. It appears to be optional whether that's open space or can be done on the proposed residential lots. In this case, there is a significant tree line on the neighboring property. The agricultural property has a nice tree line along that property. It has been there for many decades and doesn't appear to be going anywhere or have any reason to be eliminated anytime soon. We have no interest in touching any of the trees that happen to be bordering our property or hanging over. We're not proposing to take any of those down, so we'll leave all those trees in place. And on top of that, we are proposing to install a 6-foot high fence, which is one of the options in the code to satisfy that buffer requirement along that entire property line. To make that an open space option instead of having the lots up against that property line would require by code a minimum of 20-foot wide space. That would greatly impact at least these 4 lots there and there, and would make it a little difficult to get the proposed products that D.R. Horton is hoping to put on these lots. So for those reasons, we would respectfully request that we just do it the way the code allows and have that fence on those lots. The other recommendation that I'd like to talk about a little bit more is item number 4 about tree clearing. We are protecting a significant amount of the trees along the edge of the Murder Kill River. However, the recommendation that we not touch trees within a certain time period, April through July, could be problematic, not knowing when we would get our approvals and be able to go to construction. The only way, as I said before, to get in and out of the subdivision is along this proposed entrance road, which is wooded at now currently. So there could be a circumstance where if we agreed to that, we could get approvals and my client could be ready to go to construction, and then everything would halt for a quarter of the year. Some of the other impacts in other areas, we probably could, time construction to not impact trees any more than necessary. But for that item alone, I think that would be very impactful and would be a detriment to the potential development, construction of the project. So to touch on a couple of those active open space areas, I'll go through them from east to west, or from the top of the page to the bottom. So here is the easternmost one. This road here is what connects to Roseville Estates. We have a potential area for a mailbox kiosk to be put in this, walking trail so people can cut through the block if they want to. And this is one of the proposed school bus locations that was proposed to us by the school district. In the middle, this is our kind of grand open space area. As people come straight into the neighborhood, this is the first thing they'll see. This is a nice big feature that will hopefully bring people into the neighborhood, give a good sense of community. We're planning on having the bulk of the mailbox kiosks there. They could all be there. We'll talk them over with the post office, but there could be other areas to put them, but we could also put a lot of them here. We do have the room to put some good pull-off parking spaces here, so if folks want to come and visit the tot lot or do some other things there, there's some of that being proposed in this area. And then lastly, we're proposing a multi-purpose court to be constructed on the westernmost active open space area. And then again, this is would be the initial first bus stop proposed as the subdivision is constructed.
I do have a question. On removal of the forests, most of them are on your entrance road coming in and on the southern line of the property back by where the stormwater is?
Correct. Correct. The portions of these stormwater facilities are within the existing wooded area, and they would have to be cleared for it. But yes, this entire most of this entire entrance road is within the woods.
Yeah, because I saw it was a little over 11 acres.
Correct.
I'm on the Forestry Commission, and I try to always fight for all the trees to stay if they could.
So I will say that oftentimes what we do is we try to come to you with a preliminary plan. You know, all the final engineering hasn't been done yet. So we'll come to you with what we believe will be the worst case scenario. These are probably the largest we will have to make these stormwater facilities in order to do that. It is in our best interest to make to allow as much woods to remain as possible. It actually makes the site easier to engineer to leave these things as woods than to disrupt them and especially put a stormwater facility there. So as we get into the final engineering, if there's a way we can make those stormwater facilities smaller and still achieve the requirements by the Kent Conservation District, by all means, it's in our interest to do that as well. One of the examples of that is the Gerald Ridge subdivision I was talking about earlier tonight with that water tower. We are in the process of that final design right now, and the stormwater facility that's near that water tower is going to be significantly smaller than we originally had anticipated, and we're able to save a good amount of trees as we work towards that, and I would expect.
So when you do remove these, you'd stay away from the nesting and the birthing season as much as you could.
We can try to do that as much as possible. I just think that for the entrance area alone, it would be very hard for us to agree to that outright.
Yeah, but that'd be like from March through June, that when you get into the nesting and the birthing season for all the rabbits and the birds and everything.
I think it says April to July, but yeah, that's our concern, is that if that would be the only time we, would be ready to start, it'd be very difficult to get underway.
Okay, thank you. Does that conclude your presentation?
That, I believe, that does wrap up the presentation. I'd be glad to answer any other questions you may have.
Any of the commissioners have any questions? Mr. Garvey?
Just two. You had mentioned the tree line that is on the adjacent property that's been there for a long time, and you were hoping to use that or have that considered as part of a buffer zone. And so my question is that just because they've been there a long time doesn't mean they'll continue to be there a long time, being that it's on somebody else's property. So do you intend to get an easement or some sort of guarantee that those trees will be there in the future? Because if they're not, you don't have the property to put a buffer up on because you're going right up to the property line.
Correct.
That's question one.
Yep. No, that's a good point. I guess what I was getting to with the point I was making there, didn't explain it very well, was that both of these properties have been under agriculture for a considerable amount of time. Typically that would be a reason to take down a stand of trees, would be to increase your agricultural use. Obviously that hasn't been done by either property owner, specifically the one to the north, since it appears to be they're the ones that own the trees. So in my mind, the theory would be that the reason to take those trees down by that person would be to develop the property, would be the most likely reason. And if that was the case, then an agricultural buffer is no longer pertinent or relevant because it's no longer going to be used for agriculture. It's probably going to be used for some kind of a development. So we don't need those trees to meet the requirement for the landscape buffer. Like I said, we are proposing landscaping trees as well as that fence along that property line. They just happen to be on the backs of the lots instead of in open space.
Okay. The other question that I had regarding looking over the comments from MPO, and you've throughout your presentation several times said, well, it'd be difficult because the only entrance in and out is Canterbury, the only entrance in and out is Canterbury. And one of the concerns that MPO has at the very beginning is the only entrance being Canterbury. And it goes on several, actually they go on in several places throughout their comments, giving concerns about egress in and out, also making sure that they make note that you work with DelDOT, which you already said that you would be. But I'm just wondering how much of the comments from MPO are being taken to heart in terms of the planning here. I don't have the knowledge that you have of the overall project and the other spurs that you mentioned that could be used down the road. Maybe they answer MPO's questions and I'm just kind of overlooking it, but MPO is rather insistent in several places of their comments about their concerns. So I'm just wondering whether we're addressing any of them.
Unfortunately, I think this project sits in a situation where, I mean, it has a very limited opportunity for an entrance. I mean, this is the only location on the entire 69-acre parcel where it actually touches a Del Street that's already been constructed. Again, we are proposing to interconnect with the existing Roseville Estate subdivision. That way, if there are emergency vehicles that need access to it, they can use those for circulation and access. But you know, the entrance will be designed to DelDOT standards. DelDOT will review the entrance as well as the internal streets. DelDOT has no issue with there being only one entrance there. This project was also proposed as a subdivision back in 2007 and recorded in Kent County for single-family lots. The layout was very similar to the layout we have here. There was one entrance off of Canterbury Road, 2 interconnecting streets into the Roseville Estate subdivision. It has been since expunged since 2007, but all of those things were vetted with DelDOT at that time, and you know, the entrance had no issues and was fully designed and approved by them at that time, and we have no doubt that they will be again.
Okay, thank you. DelDOT doesn't have the greatest record on dealing with a lot of these issues, so even though they've said everything is okay, I tend to listen to MPO a little bit more because they tend to be seem to be a little bit more thorough. But thank you for your answers.
Mr. Mills?
Yeah, I want to thank you and your developer for considering how these kids should be getting picked up and exited buses. Now, what I do understand is that only buses can go in on a road that is a finished blacktop. Now, from the entrance all the way up to that first circle where the bus stop is, will that be a finished, completed road in order for them to travel on? And what I'm getting at is the number of houses in here. There's definitely going to be some kids starting before the whole development is finished, and you're not going to be able to. Usually when the developments are finished is when the last layer of blacktop goes on the streets. This first section would be completed so that the bus can travel on, picking up the early kids that are homes that are sold.
Yes, that is our intent, is to be able to finish off this first section. That's why we have one very near the end, the beginning of the project, so that we can complete that phase and get that road turned over as quickly as possible so that the school buses can come in. Yes.
Thank you very much for your consideration.
Yep, you're welcome. I've had many presentations and always welcome your comments about the school buses, and we've tried to take those to heart, so appreciate your concerns.
You're probably going to be limited out on Canterbury Road about turn lanes and all that kind. Are you fairly close to the guardrail?
There's the guardrail. I don't think is going to come into play. There's a considerable amount of right-of-way out there. It's actually pretty wide right there in that location. So as DelDOT requires us to put turn lanes in, we are pretty confident we're going to have plenty of room to do that.
Yeah, I wonder, because like southbound, you'd have to move the road over too to get that, like they do up by Riverview Estates and all. So
yeah, there's a lot of points, a lot of locations across the state where you really need some room and you don't have it. But unfortunately for us, this is one of those locations where they got pretty good right away to start with. So we have room to do what we need to.
Great, thank you very much. Any other commissioners have any comments? Seeing none, I thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Great presentation. I'm glad you got rid of all the people in the audience. I know, right? I still see a few, though, so we'll see. Is there anyone else here in favor of this project and would like to speak? Anyone else here in favor of this project would like to speak? Anyone on mark in favor of this project would like to speak?
We have no members from the general public online at this time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. So we'll turn in. Is there anyone in the audience that's against this project? Anyone against this project would like to speak? Give us your name and address. You could be sworn or affirmed, and make sure you pull the microphone down to you. There you go.
My name is Mike Radcliffe, and I live at 5578 Canterbury Road, Felton, Delaware.
And do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, sir.
Guess which homeowner I am? I'm the one that is located right there in Mr. Corsi's house. I'm happy to say that I purchased the home a little over 10 years ago. Now retired, living there full time, always knowing that the prior project that was slated for that area was getting close to expiring. I purchased the home in March of that year, and that project expired in April. Always knew that somewhere along the line, that additional growth, expansion, and things like that were going to happen. The other two areas that were referred to on the buffer side for both sides of the road had been slated for projects a long, long time ago. Being that was part of Mr. Corsi's original land, which I believe he had over 1,000 acres, back when the home that's there, the part of the house's original part was built in 1760, which was the original home that he purchased. And then when he made his money from the sale of the grist mill and the sawmill that was located along right there by the river, that's when he added on to the main part of the house, is when he made his money and was sharing his wealth. He did run for governor, of course, but that didn't go through. But the majority of the property itself, from a historical value, and knowing that this is now only going to have this single entrance from Canterbury Road, of course, it encompasses more than 80% on three sides of my property. So the fact that, knowing that if there was some type of plantings of a berm, trees, and things like that, that I can understand to help preserve, and protect what's there. What's very upsetting to me is where the road is going in, I know what appears to be my front yard is not my front yard, of which I've maintained because of the way that it was before the prior owners sold the house. They subdivided that, leaving that access road there. But I also believe that there is another piece of property that was owned by the original owner between the homes that are on Canterbury Road that was left there on purpose for an additional access. And the reason why I point that out is that that would be a much safer way in by having to obtain that lot than where it would be on that curve where it's a blind spot, and it also is cornered by two other driveways on the right-hand side of the road. One goes to our home that's up in the woods. The other goes into the public access on the left side of the pond. And then directly across from that is the access for the pond on the right-hand side. So I don't visually see how there's enough space to allow for 175 homes, meaning that there's close to, even at 1.8 cars per house, having over 300 cars coming through that area out onto Canterbury Road. And even right now, living there full-time, the amount of traffic that's on the road just for regular traffic triples beach time because of the people that cut across from 13 through Canterbury Road to get over to 113 to cut through Route 1. So it's very unsafe, and I choose for my own safety to have to cross the road until 7:30 at night to get to my mailbox, which is on the opposite side, to get my mail. Sometimes I leave it for a week before I'll go down and get it out. The other concerns that picking up on this evening was the fact that the number of homes that were proposed here, not only that, but in Corsi's Point, the housing that's already there's at least 100 plus. The next one up at Fork Landing, there's at least another 150 to 175 homes in there. Waterside, across the road, on the other side of the pond, has at least 65 to 70, and there's still vacant lots in there that have not finished. And then the new one that's also going in right now at Pond's Edge, not sure how many houses are going in there they're building, but that actually will connect into Waterview. But on the other side of that other whole corner that goes all the way down to Carpenter Bridge Road, I believe that property was sold, and it was closer to, I want to say it was closer to 100 acres.
Are you ready done, sir? You're at your 5-minute mark.
Yeah.
So.
My concern is the number of houses within less than 1 mile radius that's going through that road, along with the individuals that are there having to come across and want to go to the traffic or go across the road over to the pond, even with the sidewalk, is not safe.
Thank you, sir. Did you buy the house where Carl June used to be the pharmacist?
Yes.
Yeah, he was a great pharmacist.
And Carl still owns, I believe, that empty lot.
Yeah, I know Carl very well from Harrington, so.
Right.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Does anyone here have any questions? Thanks again, sir.
Not being prepared, I'll send you some more
You can have it in by Monday, by the end of the day Monday, so
yes.
Sarah can distribute it to us.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else here in opposition to this project or on the line that would like to speak? This is the third and final call.
Still no members from the general public online at this time, Mr. Chair.
Seeing nobody else here and a gentleman shaking his head no, so we're going to move on and we'll be taking this project up next week. Thank you all for your patience and your presentations. Final thing on our agenda tonight is Ordinance LC-2603, Water Supply and Facilities. Sarah, I'm going to turn it over to you to explain what's going on.
Thanks very much, Mr. Chairman. Ordinance LC 2603 is primarily a housekeeping measure in the Subdivision and Land Development Code. When that code was originally adopted in 2003 by the Levy Court, Table 10.1 addressed water supply facilities, and Table 10.2 addresses wastewater facilities. And when it was originally adopted, those two tables matched. Then in 2008, the Levy Court on Table 10.2 eliminated that third row of outside the growth zone, low density, and at the time it allowed for community wastewater systems. Levy Court eliminated that. When Levy Court did that, we did not think to address water because the primary concern at the time was wastewater. And then as we've seen some more interest developing outside the growth zone in particular, there is interest in being able to use on-site wells rather than central water with fire protection outside the growth zone. I don't believe that was the interest of the Levy Court. The goal was not to make it easier outside the growth zone. So what this does is outside the growth zone, it has the minimum density that matches what we use for wastewater, and it simply requires that you have to use central water with fire protection, meaning hydrants. So again, more housekeeping than anything else. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
I have a question then. Under this proposal, it says here if you have 1 to 10, and say the development is in place and you put your well in and all, and then central water comes in place, are you forced to then join the central water?
If you've already got a lot out, a developed lot around it, because the county doesn't run water, I'm not familiar with what is required.
Because I've heard of people when their well went bad and they weren't attached, that they've had to have hooked to the central water once it goes by them.
It would not surprise me that if a well goes bad, DENREC would require it, but that's outside of our purview.
Any commissioners have any questions? Mr. Peterman?
I think it's like you have to be 150 foot away from that main in order to have your own well. But I wanted to ask Sarah, will anybody be grandfathered in with the old system? Would they still have to, if they're not within a range that's required for that? Will they be grandfathered in because they were already there?
We're not talking about existing developed lots. We are talking about prospective subdivision. So whatever is out there in the world right now is not our concern. Okay. Our concern is what could be developed later.
Any other commissioners have any questions? Okay, then is there anyone here or online that would like to speak in favor of this application?
Still no members from the general public online at this time, Mr. Chair.
Well, I won't repeat that again then. We'll go to the against, and being you don't have anybody online, and I don't see anybody in the audience, we'll be taking this application up next week. Thank you all. Down to public comment. You say nobody's online, and there's nobody in the audience. So we'll get down to commission comments. Anybody have anything? Mr. Mills? Nobody? Other business? Looks like we're good. I'll entertain a motion and a second to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Sarah, call the commission.
Mr. Peterman?
Yes to adjourn.
Mr. Servan?
Yes to adjourn.
Mr. Galvery?
Yes to adjourn.
Mr. Mills?
Yes to adjourn.
Mr. Jester?
Yes to adjourn. Thank you all, and we made it through the night.